Hello, it is Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Tuesday crossword today, which means we should have another fairly approachable crossword, as we did yesterday, with a theme, of course. And this hopefully approachable themed edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Victoria Rajishka, Kathleen Quinn, Quotidiophile, and, as always, the Indomitable Showmaster and the incredible Horan family. So thank you so much to the 5 of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support. They are sustaining this channel and keeping this series going, so thank you so much to them. Thank you to everybody who is a patron of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. I really do appreciate it. And if you would like to join them in that support, you can head over to patreon.com/dailysolve or click the link in the description field underneath the video. That will get you access to, well, signing up will get you access to the bonus videos available to patrons. And as a benefactor, the Daily Solve Let's Check the Crosses mug. And I just realized it's a new month, so that means a new monthly bonus puzzle from the New York Times. So I've not yet looked at that. I've not yet seen what incredibly obscure and arguably real holiday is being celebrated by the bonus puzzle this month. We'll have to find out. In any case, thank you again to everybody who is a patron, and thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel on YouTube. Please do so if you have not gotten around to that. It's a big help, and you can also join the Daily Solve Discord chat server. It's a nice, friendly chat community, and there is, of course, a link in the description field to that as well. So let's solve a crossword, shall we? This is a construction by Catherine Ladner, who has constructed, this is her third crossword, I think, for the New York Times, and it was edited, of course, as always, by Will Shortz. There will be a theme, and there's plenty of evidence for that. We can see through the gauzy privacy veil a number of circled cells, and so maybe they will spell, it looks like they maybe spell things going down, maybe they'll spell a phrase word by word, I don't know. Let's find out. Let's start solving. Oh wow, there really are quite a few of those, aren't there? And we have, unusually, a grid symmetrical about a vertical axis. So if we were to fold this grid in half along a line, bisecting it in half vertically, we would see that the black cells, of course, are disposed identically in that manner. But that isn't going to help us solve the puzzle, I don't think. It's just an interesting thing to note, and that often happens with themed crosswords. Well, it doesn't often happen, I suppose, but when it does happen, it's more often with themed crosswords. Anyway, let's start solving it. Preserve as documents. Archive, maybe you archive documents to preserve them. Let's check the crosses on that. Crunch muscles for short are abs, abdominal muscles. Bollywood star Aishwarya, I don't know, unfortunately. And here we have an institutional religious officer. Institutional religious officer, that's really interesting. I wonder what that refers to. Chaplain? Oh, that would make sense. An institution such as the military, say, or a prison, perhaps. You could have a military chaplain or a prison chaplain. So that would make sense. Source of the saying, brevity is the soul of wit. Hamlet, I'm pretty sure. And clarifying words are, I mean, probably. That would clarify things. Part of a three-piece suit, a vest is one of the components of a three-piece suit. That makes it 3 rather than 2 pieces, I suppose. Well, not I suppose. That is, in fact, true. St. Louis to Indianapolis direction, east. I suppose we know that there must be an east here because we couldn't have another direction if we're starting with east. So it's either east-northeast or east-southeast. It's probably south, right? Yes. Who Let the Dogs Out group, the Baha Men. There we go, that classic tune. So St. Louis to Indianapolis is east-northeast. Okay. Not east by northeast, as I said, I think my entire life until just a couple of weeks ago when somebody in the comments of this very series corrected me. So I'm learning things all the time, thanks to my viewers. And anyway, here we have a cat breed with distinctive light and dark coloring. Oh, Siamese. Yes, indeed. I can picture that distinctive coloring in my mind now. And yearn for, ache for? Sorry, I'm scrolling up and down between these clues to see if I can figure out what might be happening with the theme. Ray, ache, one-celled creature, an amoeba. Ray, ache, amoeba. Ray, ache, amoeba. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything just yet. That's frustrating. What is it? I'm not sure. Let's keep looking around. William G. Blank, patentee of a kind of wrench. Oh, this must not be ache. Yearn for, long for. Ray long amoeba. I'm trying to figure out if this sounds out a phrase in a sort of homophonic sense. I can't quite place anything. Ray long amoeba. I don't know. I might be missing something, but I'm not seeing anything. Anyway, this must be Allen wrench or an Allen key. The hexagonal wrench is often used to assemble sort of prefabricated furniture and other purposes as well, but that's a common one. Smoothie fruit, right? Of course, it's the official berry, the official sort of superfood berry of the New York Times crossword, the acai berry, which we haven't seen maybe in a few weeks. Here we have cold comfort would be a coat, so not referring to the English language idiom cold comfort, meaning a sort of insufficient alleviation of your worries, but rather something that you might wear to comfort yourself against the cold, a coat. And here we have singer-songwriter Annie DeFranco, and sets ablaze would be ignites something, so there we have it. Terrible Tsar Ivan the Terrible, famously so named. An inoculation slangily could be vax for vaccination, and the X makes it slangy rather than simply just abbreviated. High point could be the apex, and easy breezy could be, I'm not sure. What about this? Ads that aim to raise awareness in brief could be, PSAs for public service announcements. And easy breezy is as pie, as in easy as pie. Can you say that on its own? Can you simply say, oh, that was as pie? I mean, I think people would understand what you're saying, but I think it sounds unusual, doesn't it? I don't think that's a so maybe that's not the answer. Dispensable candy could be Pez. They come out of those sort of hinged Pez dispensers. Tolkien tree creature is an Ent, the creatures from the Lord of the Rings. And a multinational clothing retailer based in Spain. Is Zara? I think Zara is a multinational clothing retailer. Is that right? I'm not sure if that's. I could be completely wrong about that. Let's see. What about this? Easy breezy. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not clear what that is. Corner. Oh, right. Cornered or a hint to this puzzle's circled squares. Up a tree. Oh. What am I missing? Up a tree. So this spells aspen backwards. Oh, right. Oh, I'm complete fool. I don't know what I was doing here. Well, I do know what I was doing, but I don't know why. I wasn't reading this. I was looking at the circled cells, but for some reason, I was reading the entire column, not just the bit in circles. I mean, reading just the bit in circles wouldn't have gotten me the answer just yet. You have to do one more step. But I was absolutely guaranteeing I wouldn't see the answer because you must have been wondering why I was trying to read this entire column, even the bits that are not circled. That was strange. Anyway, if we read just the circled bits in reverse, we get a magnolia here, an elm here, and an aspen here, all of which are trees, of course. So this one could be cedar, maybe backwards. Oh, that would be Zara. Yeah, okay. And then there we have DEC, and what is this clue? Move elsewhere in a hurry. Decamp. You could decamp. You could leave potentially in a hurry. That's often used to indicate leaving in a hurry. Here we have home of Bryce Canyon National Park. That must be the state of Utah in the U.S. And a large tree, maybe? LARC. No, that doesn't look like anything. Bed with bars. No, I don't think that's right. Bed with bars. What's a bed with bars? A bunk bed or I don't know. A crib. Crib. Oh, birch tree. Birch tree. There we go. Okay. Very good. Indian Royal is a Raja and bandmate of John, Paul, and George, of course, the other Beatle, Ringo. star, and the drummer, and that's my cue. You could say I'm on, that's my cue, ready to go. To become part of something is to join up, I would suspect here, maybe. Yes, okay, I was thinking this looks strange, but it's because it's two words, not one. There's no I in team, goes the saying. And then run of the mill could be generic, a sort of unremarkable, expected thing. The Washington Monument, for one, is an obelisk. So join up must be wrong. Became part of. Sorry, joined. Yes, I just improperly read the clue. I think when I said it, I even said become part of in the present tense. So I think I just utterly misread that. So the Washington Monument is an obelisk. It's that sort of it's an interesting but slightly strangely tapered monument that becomes more dramatically tapered just at the top. Xanadu rock group. That is by the Electric Light Orchestra, Jeff Lynne's band, ELO, and sun-baked brick homes could be adobe, so adobe material, the sort of, well, exactly as it says, sun-baked sort of mud bricks. And then Bichon Frise is a dog breed, Bichon Frise. So we filled that in. Here we have Armada is a fleet of ships. And military trim is, I'm not sure. What about this? Smart guys. Smart Alex is a common sort of term of ribbing, I suppose. Part of B&B is the and. That's kind of a fun clue in the sense that you look at that and it looks like it should be the bed of bed and breakfast. But of course, the ampersand is also part of this sort of abbreviation, and it stands for the word that in fact goes in the crossword. Green, in a way, could be new. You could be new to something and therefore be a bit green, be sort of raw and inexperienced. Military trim, I see, a crew cut. So a trim in the sense of a hairstyle, a short cropped crew cut, which could be given to you upon joining the military. The royal house of Elizabeth I is the House of Tudor. That dynasty in the then Kingdom of England. And with proficiency, if you do something with proficiency, you do it adeptly. Miles blank, teen who becomes Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse. I actually have seen this film, believe it or not. I have not seen very many Marvel films, but I did see this, and I thought it was really, really quite impressive. And Miles Morales, I think, is the character's name. I have not seen the sequel, but I heard that was good as well. Actress Hatcher, Terry Hatcher, is a name I recognize. Introductory textbook could be a primer or a primer, depending on your dialect. And cooking spray brand is Pam. I think that's what it's sort of aerated oil spray, that kind of thing. And then to tell on someone is to tattle on them, to maybe tell a teacher or something about a misdoing, about maybe a dastardly child, because here we have more dastardly. Is eviler, maybe? No, that doesn't quite work. More dastardly. Involuntary movement. A tick, you might have a sort of muscle tick or something. And then kind of lamp or cake, a lava lamp. Is this really eviler? Wow, that just sounds so awkward. I really don't like it. But I suppose it is a valid word. So there we go. Thanksgiving Day Parade sponsored. This is a big thing in the U.S. For whatever reason, the Thanksgiving Day Parade sponsored by the department store chain Macy's. I've probably read about the history of that. I don't exactly know why that's such an institution, but I'm sure I at one point must have looked it up out of curiosity. I cannot remember the history of it. In any case, that's a very U.S. particular sort of cultural clue. They can go, well, I mean, Thanksgiving holiday as well is, I suppose. They can go right ahead. Let them, you could say, let them go. List ending abbreviation could be et al. To indicate, and the rest of the names that we haven't listed explicitly. Sigma follower, sigma tau in the Greek alphabet. And then one-on-one combat could be a duel, a fight to the, well, I guess not necessarily to the death. They could both miss. Sassy is pert, maybe. You're a bit pert, you're a bit sassy. And then easy breezy is a snap. Good, it was not as pie, even though it shares, 60% of the letters with as pie. Architectural style of Manhattan's Chrysler Building would be the sort of iconic Art Deco style, which is very appealing. Prefix with dynamic. Dynamic could be aerodynamic. Oh, right, and of course, forgot entirely about the theme. So what is this sycamore tree? Oh, that's very well done. Wow, that is extremely impressive. A word like sycamore doesn't look like it should be able to be reversed in this way. So Macy's is very convenient. It's a very convenient proper noun, I suppose, but it works. Branded shoe with holes is, Croc, those sort of, I don't know, kind of rubberized plastic, I guess, shoes. Sci-fi fantasy publisher with a Rocky Peak logo. Well, even if you didn't know the name of this sort of label, this publisher, what do you call that? The imprint. You might know that there is a name for a rocky peak is a tor, and therefore that is our answer. To take a chance maybe is to dare. To move elsewhere is to relocate. Record label that declined to sign the Beatles in 1962. Interesting. Must have been Decca. I didn't know that. Well, maybe I did at one point. I don't know. If one improvised musically, one soloed, jammed, neither of those makes a tree. When reversed, at least not a tree with which I'm familiar. Rift? Oh, yes, fir tree. Okay. No, not furred. Rift. There we go. All right, and that makes the fir tree. So then deets and dope. Right, info. So deets as in the details and dope as in the straight dope. Each of these things means information in a sort of slangy way, and therefore the answer is also, in this case, a contraction, obviously, of information. So give me the info, the deets, or the dope. Blank vidi vici, so this is veni vidi vici, I came, I saw, I conquered, is sort of classically translated from Latin. And then swarmed is overran. To have faith is to believe. And like Chopin's Aeolian harp etude, it must be in the key of something flat. I actually don't know off the top of my head. But let's look at the crosses quickly. Kimono tightener could be an obi, that the sash that would tie a kimono closed, and then here move elsewhere we already saw. Director Duvernay, Ava DuVernay is the film director. We have after expenses is net, so your sort of net revenue, for instance, your income after expenses, and then here we have African antelope. That's the size of a moose. That must be the eland, which I do recognize, and that fortunately gives us in A flat for Chopin's Aeolian harp etude. Would be impressed to hear from anybody who got this one cold without any need of crosses. And let's try it and make sure that works. It does. And there we have it. That was the Tuesday crossword. Very nice. I really enjoyed this theme. And in classic early week fashion, we don't need to have any awareness of the theme in order to solve these clues. They're all completely self-sufficient clues, but we do get this nice, we get the nice result at the end, some of which are kind of self-contained, as in the elm tree entirely exists within the reversal of just part of one clue, Hamlet, but many of them are split across. Again, as I said earlier, I'm particularly impressed by sycamore, but let's go through them. So here we have the magnolia tree inside of Ray Long Amoeba. We have the elm tree inside of Hamlet. We have the birch tree inside of Utah Crib. The aspen tree inside of East-Northeast PSAs. We have the cedar tree inside of Zara de Camp. Zara de Camp, that sounds like a good name for a character. Zara de Camp. It sounds like some sort of swashbuckling figure. Here we have the pine tree inside of Venipart. Sounds like, I don't know, maybe a villainous character in a different sort of story. Here we have a fir tree inside of Rift. We have a maple tree. I think I never observed that one. But we do have the maple tree inside of Dual Pam. And finally, we have the sycamore tree inside of Aromaces, which sounds like maybe some kind of chemical compound. And there we have it. That was our Tuesday crossword. Oh, and of course, the grid itself is not just notable for being symmetrical about a vertical axis. It also appears to be illustrating a tree, perhaps maybe a fir tree, something like that. But it does very much look like it's meant to evoke a tree trunk with downward sloping limbs. And yes, to me, it looks, of the trees cited in the theme, I think it probably evokes most strongly a fir tree. But it's in the eye of the beholder. So I do think that is the intention. And I didn't notice it until just this moment. Oh, and then of course, oh, right, we have a Tolkien tree creature on Ent. So maybe this is meant to represent an Ent, I don't know, slowly lumbering through the grid of the crossword, surrounded by his distant I don't know, self animating cousins. Anyway, there we have it, non-self-aware. But that was the Tuesday crossword by Catherine Ladner. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was nice, with a very nice theme, well suited to an early week themed crossword. And now I'm just going to mention one comment from yesterday's puzzle. There was one correction which I thought was interesting, and it wasn't one expressly about the clue itself, but rather my comment about one of the answers, in which I mentioned that I read Frankenstein when I was very young and was, I think, sort of baffled and confused by the epistolary conceit. But as Time Gentleman points out, Frankenstein opens and closes with letters from a captain to his sister about meeting Frankenstein and hearing his story. But the bulk of the book is the story told by Frankenstein in first person. As we're reading a transcription of that story, technically the whole thing is epistolary, but in practice only the framing device is. And so that speaks to, I think, I don't know, something that I think can often happen with very old memories, where the most striking part of the experience is the one that, I don't know, sort of takes over or absorbs the entire memory. So I think I must have found the opening of the story told in epistolary form to be so unusual to me at that age, and striking and strange, that became the part that essentially overwrote all my other memories of the book Frankenstein. So it's very interesting, because I've not returned to it since then. And anyway, Time Gentleman goes on to explain, to answer the question I had, which was that the book does not contain the phrase "it's alive," which was my suspicion. It didn't seem like that would have been from the book, but is rather from the James Whale 1931 film. Apparently that movie was an adaptation of a stage adaptation of the novel, but it seems accepted that that line of dialogue in question was written for the film. So there we have it, and is one of those creative choices that it's just funny to think about, that whoever wrote that for the screenplay has ended up creating a sort of permanent element of the culture. I mean, that line has stayed with us for coming on a century, and certainly has become maybe the most well-known expression of any sort related to the Frankenstein story, despite not having been present in the original novel. Anyway, interesting, and thank you for that comment. And that is that for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow for the Wednesday crossword, the midweek, mid-difficulty themed puzzle. Hope you join me for that. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Tuesday. Take care.